Today we have Norman Carcellar from Carcellar joining us for this particular interview. But this segment, this particular element that I really want to talk about is the human capital, the human element into it. You were just explaining to me that you spent 30 years in your career in IT, not just in security, but the whole IT architecture, infrastructure, and implementation. And what you see that there is a lot of spending on IT security, but there's not a lot of spending on human elements, skill set, and the awareness of it.
That's true.
Why is that? Why people keep doing that? I thought, what we're protecting. Are we protecting the human livelihood, or are we protecting just the data?
That's so true, because right now, the focus of selling is obviously selling security solutions and technology. But technology only addresses one part of the whole cybersecurity defense. In fact, if you just focus on technology, it is only solving half of the picture, because the other half for me is focusing on how the users will be able to protect themselves. The trend now is obviously the spending on technology is up, but the cybersecurity breaches are also up. And the cost of cyber breaches is also going up. Technology is getting stronger and stronger. Apple just challenged people to hack the iPhone and would give $1 million to those who can hack the iOS. So that means they're claiming that their technology is virtually unhackable, and so are other security infra providers. The firewall, all the other security layers are becoming very strong in terms of preventing traditional hacking. So that's why I think if you were a hacker, you would focus not on what would give you a big problem, but would give you the easier way to hack inside the organization, which is essentially the users, the humans in the organization.
Right.
They also need to be aware of what the enemy is up to, how the enemy is using technology to get access into your computer, into your network, and into your company data. So focusing just on technology is only addressing half of the defense. The other half should be focusing on user education, user awareness, and equipping your users to be more vigilant. The goal is really to have a cybersecurity aware culture. In the long term, it has to be a culture. Culture is basically just repeated behavior in a community.
Yep.
So the key is, how do you now change behavior? You can change behavior by first working on the beliefs. You don't impose behavior, force behavior without the person believing that this is the right thing to do. Because if he says, that's not the right thing to do, but I do it because the company says so, it won't last long. You have to change a bit the belief system of a person. So what are those wrong beliefs that we're changing? Clicking on a PDF because it's safer than Microsoft Word, clicking on your a link on the mobile because it's safer than clicking it on the desktop. I am not important. No hacker is interested in me because I'm just an accountant and all that. I'm small fry. These are the beliefs that we need to change so that our employees, the users in our organization, will have a change in behavior.
Yep.
And then hopefully repeated behavior becomes a culture.
What would you basically advise? What your advice is to a company that how would they be able to implement this successfully?
Yeah. So I shared on the ABCs of changing the culture. First is you have to demand accountability. IT security is not just the responsibility of the IT security team. It is the responsibility of everyone, from the president down to the security guard. The second is you have to change the belief system, which is the B part. Again, by training. And the third is you have to cultivate culture. Now, what is the most effective way for people to learn? That's the challenge. And as I mentioned, you have to give them experiential learning. So this is not just sitting and watching a video and then clicking a test after. People will have to experience what it is to behave well and be rewarded, and what it is to misbehave and be penalized. And this should be consistent, and this should be repeated until the goals of the company in terms of cybersecurity awareness are attained. Of course, management will have to be there on top, but management should be an example too in terms of being vigilant, because they are usually the ones that are targeted for spear phishing and whaling. So yes, there's no easy way to it in terms of changing the culture. You just have to be very consistent in training the users, testing them, giving them the experience, whether good or bad, so that culture can then be developed within the organization.
Well, thank you so much for this great wisdom.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, yes.
No, I do hope, we'll continue basically invest our knowledge and content into this business place and that sort of thing. And at the same time, I'm actually building this community as well, both in the Philippines and Southeast Asia.
Yes, thank you.
And will be a lot more segments coming to it. This is just one documentary. The second documentary, we might basically focus on threat hunting, or even employee engagement or anything like that. So there will be a lot of different videos coming down.
Very interesting.